Hi everybody, welcome to Tech Growth Stocks channel. Today I present you a new episode. Specifically, I will give you 5 top cloud computing stocks for 2021. So these cloud computing stocks have excellent momentum and some have good growth as well. And the cloud computing space has been a very strong performer recently. So I think it definitely pays to watch that video until the end with me and have a look at all of these strong cloud computing stocks. So before I start right off with the first stock, I have to make a short disclaimer. This video does not constitute financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only, so please consider that. And also one more quick note, please subscribe now to my channel with a link in the description below so that going forward you do not miss any market leading stocks from me, and also so that you do not miss part 2 of the top cloud computing stocks for 2021, which I will be releasing soon. So please subscribe now and hit the notifications bell. Okay, so that was it for the intro. So let's start right off with the first cloud computing stock for 2021. And as you can see it in the charts, it is MSTR, MicroStrategy. Here you can see the long-term chart of MicroStrategy, and as you can see, MicroStrategy was moving sideways for quite some time. And here you see, for instance, as well, we had a Corona breakdown, and in March 2020 we made a low in MicroStrategy. We reversed from that low, traded to the upside, and we could break the sideways trend around September 2020 and move into a very strong uptrend. The short-term chart, we see that strong uptrend quite nicely. For instance, here we see a bounce of the 20-day moving average to the upside. Here also bounce of the 20-day moving average to the upside strongly. And yeah, had a strong momentum move. I mean, we traded from, let's say, around September, we were $144. We traded up to $1,300, nearly a 10 times move. Strong, way strong momentum move in MicroStrategy, what we are experiencing here. And yeah, recently we came back from $1,300. Now we are trading at $750, and looks like we are bouncing on the 40-day moving average. Here, this line here, so a bounce could happen soon in MicroStrategy, and I think then we could continue with that strong momentum uptrend. And I think from a technical standpoint, MicroStrategy is looking excellent here. And when we look at the growth characteristics for MicroStrategy, yeah, the EPS growth, it's sluggish, it's minus 166%. And the sales growth is also not the strongest, it's plus 2%. But the relative strength rating is good with 93. And when we look at the short-term momentum, this is even better. I mean, we had a 10 times move in just a couple of months, 3 to 4 months. So, I mean, this is a very strong momentum move. And now I think this stock could advance much further with that strong momentum behind its back, or with that strong of a win behind its back. So I think MicroStrategy is definitely a top cloud computing stock for 2021. Okay, so that was it for MicroStrategy. Now let's have a look at the next top cloud computing stock for 2021, and it is Zscaler. Here you can see the long-term chart of Scalar, and as you can see, Scalar was an IPO in March 2018, so it's a quite young company. And why does that matter? Because 95% of the super performance of strong stocks is happening in their first 10 years after their IPOs. So it definitely pays if you watch out for young companies with strong growth and momentum characteristics in strong sectors and leading themes, because these could be multi-baggers and they could have huge performance runs. So always have a look at young companies in their first 10 years after their IPOs. Yeah, and that Scalar formed an IPO base here after its IPO, had a breakout, and then moved into an uptrend. And then July 2019, we entered into a correction phase and made a low in March 2020 together with the Corona low, reversed from that low, traded to the upside, formed a nice and strong uptrend since then. In the short-term chart, you see that uptrend, and you can see as well here we had a period of pause in that uptrend, which is a base. Here, base breakout, we broke out of that base, traded to the upside, and now it looks like we are building another base here at the top. And yeah, and currently we came back a little bit together with the overall market volatility, but I think soon we can continue with that strong uptrend here in that scalar and trade into new high ground. When we look at the growth characteristics for that scalar, I mean, these are excellent as well. The EPS growth is very strong with 135%, and the sales growth is also very strong with 38%, and the relative strength rating is good with 90. So with these characteristics, that scalar is definitely a top cloud computing stock for 2021. Okay, so that was it for that scalar. So now let's have a look at the next cloud computing stock, and it is APPN Corporation. Here you can see the long-term chart of APN, and as you can see, APN was an IPO in May 2017, so it is in its first 10 years after its IPO, so it could be, or it could be in its high performance phase. And yeah, you can see we have been in a long-term uptrend, this kind of a volatile uptrend with rallies and with up rallies and down rallies, up rallies and down rallies, up rallies and down rallies, and so on, until let's say around October 2020, when we could break these up and down rallies, slightly uptrend, and move into a strong uptrend. I mean, this strong uptrend, you see all the moving averages are stacking up one above the other, the long-term moving averages. Before, you see, I mean, they not stacking up quite well. They stack up and broke down and so on, yeah, but now they are stacking up quite nicely. So this now we have a strong uptrend in APN. The short-term chart, you see that uptrend as well. Here you see a period of pause, and here then the breakout of that pausing phase and the move into new high ground strongly. Here we had another base period of pause. We broke out. Recently we came back a little bit. We undercut the 50-day, but I think a bounce here, for instance, of the 100-day, this could be happen now that we bounce here. I mean, for instance, here we bounce off the 100-day as well. And yeah, so I think a bounce could happen quite soon in APN, and then a continuation of that strong uptrend in APN. So from a technical standpoint, APN is looking good here. And when we look at the growth characteristics, I mean, the EPS growth, it's sluggish, it's minus 59%, and the sales growth, it's okay with plus 19%, and the relative strength rating is okay as well with 89. So I think with these characteristics, APN is definitely a top cloud computing stock for 2021. Okay, so that was it for APN. So now let's have a look at the next top cloud computing stock, and it is CRWD, CrowdStrike. Here you can see the long-term chart of CrowdStrike, and as you can see, yeah, CrowdStrike was a recent IPO in June 2019. So it's in its first 10 years after its IPO, so it could be in its high performance phase. And after its IPO, yeah, we formed a nice IPO base here, and we had the breakout of that IPO base around, let's say, May 2020, and we formed a nice and strong uptrend since then. And we see the long-term moving averages here in the long-term chart are stacking up quite nicely, one above the other. So we have a nice strong uptrend now in CrowdStrike. So from this perspective, CrowdStrike is looking excellent here. The short-term chart, we see that uptrend as well. For instance, you see here as well, we bounce here of the 100-day moving average, the green line. Here we bounce of the 100-day moving average through the upside, the green line. And in between, we bounce off different moving averages as well. And yeah, recently, for instance, here we built a base. In that uptrend, we had a base, we broke out, a new base built, broke out. Now we are at the top, and it looks like we are building a new base here in CrowdStrike. I think soon we could continue with that of a strong uptrend. And when we look at the growth characteristics for CrowdStrike, I mean, the EPS growth, it's sluggish, it's minus 50%. But the sales growth is way good with plus 85%. And the relative strength rating is okay with 88. So with these characteristics, CrowdStrike is also a top cloud computing stock for 2021. Okay, so that was it for CrowdStrike. So now we come to the last cloud computing stock for today, and it is FSLY, Fastly. Here you can see the long-term chart of Fastly, and as you can see, Fastly was an IPO in May 2019, so it is in its first 10 years after its IPO, so it could be in its high performance phase. And yeah, after its IPO, it formed a nice IPO base here, or it had a pausing phase, yeah, and it broke out of that pausing phase in May 2020 and formed a nice uptrend here, moved to the upside strongly, and now we are building another base here. Now we are having another period of pause. The short-term chart, you see that period of pause, and currently we are trading at the lower end of that period of pause, at the bottom of that pause. So I think it's an attractive entry point for Fastly. I mean, we just recently we traded at $120. Now we are trading at $73. I mean, in a couple of days. And this is a young and strong company with excellent sales growth. So I think this is really an attractive entry point for Fastly. And yeah, and so from this perspective, it's looking good here for Fastly. When we look at the growth characteristics, I mean, Fastly has excellent growth characteristics as well. So this is on top of that cheap entry price. I mean, the EPS growth is way strong with plus 118%. The sales growth is also way good with 41%. And the relative strength rating is good as well with 88. So with these characteristics, Fastly is definitely a top cloud computing stock for 2021. Okay, so these were the top cloud computing stocks for 2021 for today. I hope in that video are some nice cloud computing stocks which you can use for your research. And also please subscribe now to my channel with the link in the description below and hit the notifications bell so that going forward you do not miss any market leading stocks from me, and also so that you do not miss part 2 of the top cloud computing stocks for 2021, which I will be releasing soon. So thank you for watching that video. And I think this year will be an exciting stock trading and investing year with all that fiscal and monetary stimulus going on around the world from all of these central banks and governments. And I think there is so much liquidity in the markets, so we will at the end have a strong asset price inflation and have higher and higher stock prices. So I think it definitely pays if you watch out for the strongest companies, the strongest growth companies and momentum stocks. And this is what I do here on my channel. So check out my channel from time to time so that in the end you have the good and strong stocks in your portfolios and that you can make a lot of money in this exciting year. Okay, so thank you for watching that video, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.